My vision for the Essence reader is that she lives a life that's fulfilling, that she feels empowered to pursue everything that she wants in life because she's absolutely worthy of it, and that she embraces the ideas that we share with her in the magazine, on our website, on all of our platforms, as tools that she can use to shape and mold life exactly how she wants to see it. I actually think that there's no better time to be a journalist than right now. There's no better time to utilize the platform that we have, the voice that we have, to amplify the issues that are confronting us each and every day. Whether we're talking about gender parity, whether we're talking about race equality, whether we're talking about Black Lives Matter, whether we're talking about the Oscars, it doesn't matter. Having a platform as a journalist allows you to give voice to people who may not have an opportunity to speak for themselves. With that comes great responsibility, and you have to give yourself permission to use that power that you have. I think sometimes we can become a little shy and maybe a little afraid of utilizing the platform to express things that are important to us. I think that's a mistake. I think we absolutely have to use this platform to give a voice to the issues that keep us up at night, that we find aren't fair, that we find really need to change. And I think that we're seeing it, especially in social media. When you look at all the different hashtags that people create on their own, there's no PR machine behind them. They're just creating it. They're deciding, I have something I want to say. And they're utilizing social media platforms, they're utilizing their own websites, their blogs, to actually rally people around whatever message they're trying to send. I think it's been quite successful. I think it's extremely exciting. And I just want to see more of us take more opportunity to do the same thing. It doesn't matter whether you're independent or whether you belong to a media company, much like Essence is a part of Time Inc. Each one of us has a responsibility to showcase what's going on in the world around us, not to run away from it. So I think that this is a really exciting time to be a journalist, and I encourage everyone to, don't hold yourself back, just go for it. I truly believe that what all women can do to create a more equitable world is first acknowledge that we all do have something in common, and that is that we're women. We're all women at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what your ethnic background is, your religious background. That's not as important as the fact that we have a universal kind of experience as women that connects us intrinsically, just authentically and organically. So we need to tap into that, not believe that what society might do to pit us against one another, because certainly that hasn't helped us move forward. There's so many issues that require our attention. Equal pay is one huge one, because that leads to us being able to afford to have good daycare for our children, which leads us to be able to have better jobs that don't require us to have to juggle work and life balance and cause us a lot of stress. I mean, there are so many things that we as women organically can rally together to just decide we're not going to do this anymore, we're not going to put up with this anymore, and we can spread and share that message of how we've connected around specific issues. One voice, many voices gathered together, speaking as one voice to push an issue forward. It's a lot stronger than someone just kind of standing out there on their own. I think if we give it a shot and try not to rely so much on what people say to us to try to keep us divided, because they know we're stronger together. Don't buy into the divisiveness, buy into the connectivity, buy into the togetherness. That's a start, right? And then from there, it's just willing to be listening to each other's opinions, because not everyone is coming from the same point of view. Everybody is looking at something from a different vantage point. All of those vantage points are valid. It's the willingness to hear and listen just as much as the willingness to reach and extend a hand across the aisle. Both those two things working in tandem, you're going to get a much better result than trying to do it all on your own. That's just my thought. I think that beauty is kind of like a part of your personality. I mean, it adds a little bit to the personal statement that you want to make to the world, right? So some people might say that it's a little frivolous, or it's not something that a serious woman would be, drawn towards. I really don't agree with that. I think that beauty can enhance your own natural beauty. Beauty products do. I use great facial products like Kate Somerville, like Shea Terra, because they keep my skin looking good and fresh and clean, and that's important to me. I like to put a great face forward, so that's important to me. I use makeup by like Black Opal and MAC and other brands because I like to look like I've put in an effort every single day. When I walk in the office, I like to look like I'm polished and professional, and I never know what I'm going to face any day. Any given day, I could at the last minute get a call and say, okay, you have to do TV, and I just want to feel prepared. It makes me feel like I've got all of my ducks in a row. And then just, I like different fragrances like Tom Ford fragrances. I like Serge Lutens fragrances because it just makes me feel good inside about myself. But for my inner beauty, I guess I spend a lot of time reading inspirational women like Maya Angelou, like anytime Michelle Obama gives an inspiring speech, that makes me feel good inside. Just using the words of other women who I can relate to helps me kind of stay steady and on course. I just think it's really important. The beauty conversation can be really complicated for women of color. Part of that is that not always sure that every single product is going to suit your specific skin tone, your shade, your coloring, the colors that you like to wear. And it can be overwhelming to go to the beauty counter and see all the many choices and not really have a sense of, well, what's really going to work for me? You don't want to spend a whole bunch of money on things that don't work, the colors that don't match. It can be frustrating. Same thing for hair care. And does this product work for my particular texture of hair? Black women come in an array of many different shades, tones, hair textures. So having something like the Essence BeautyBox, which contains 5 products every month, curated especially by our Essence beauty editors, gives not only our editors an opportunity to share a bit of their knowledge with the audience that's subscribing to the Beauty Box, but also gives them the assurance that with the authoritative lens that our beauty editors bring to anything that's concerning beauty, the audience knows that, look, we've tried this, we know who it works for, we know this will work for you. It gives you that kind of just sign of approval that this really is specifically for you in mind. Because quite honestly, there are a lot of products out there that aren't meant for us, that don't encourage us to be ourselves and to kind of own our own personality. There are products that say, well, you have to conform to this particular type to actually be enjoyed by for you to actually kind of fit in and use this product, you have to conform. This Essence BeautyBox is here to say, you don't have to conform. We understand that you are unique, you're special, and you're beautiful. And anything that we can do to make sure that the right products show up at your doorstep each and every month that we know will work for you gives you just that kind of little extra boost of confidence that, you know what, I'm getting something that's really going to make a difference in my life. It's really going to be special to me. So, and that's really part of the reason why we came up with the Essence BeautyBox as our newest brand extension, because we knew there was a huge void in this market for boxes that address this specific need for women of color, especially Black women. And so far we've gotten tremendous feedback that this is absolutely the thing that our audience has felt that they've been missing in the beauty space. They love that it comes to their doorstep. They love that there's an insert where each editor has identified a product in the box that they really believe in, and they're giving tips about what they use it, how they use it. And, I can't wait for more people to discover this beauty box and to see what's inside. It's really just a wonderful gift, I feel, to our audience for everything that they, everything that they desire in terms of the beauty space. I feel like this is their gift saying, here's something here especially for you. I think that success kind of comes in stages. It's something that you build on. You make one decision, you see how that plays out. You may need to course correct or pivot depending on how that decision played out. I think that what's kind of contributed to my success is having a lot of clarity around what works for me and what doesn't. And that could be whether I'm talking about what kind of management style works for me, or whether I'm talking about what kind of work environment works best for me. I've had a lot of clarity around that. And when I found myself in situations where it wasn't a good fit, I figured out pretty quickly how to pivot and move away and get into a better position that could actually work for me, where I feel like I can be my best self in the workspace. I think that requires some discernment, and I think it requires a lot of self-awareness, really looking inside and judging yourself, taking a look at what you've done to contribute to a particular situation, but also looking at what you can do to contribute to a situation. And pretty quickly, if you're really discerning, what you can bring to the table and what you cannot. Being able to do that at every stage of my career, I think, has been absolutely essential to getting me to where I am now. And then also using that discernment to say, even if there are obstacles, you know what, I think I can figure out how to get around that, and not giving up. There are plenty of times where you're going to be faced with people who may not have the same belief in you as you have in yourself. You can't let that stop you if you feel that this is something that you really want. I certainly have not done that. I was turned down twice for this current role that I'm in as editor-in-chief before I became editor-in-chief. Now, if I had listened to and stopped myself the first 2 times, I wouldn't be here, because I would have given up. I just couldn't see myself giving up on myself. I felt like I had to give it the best try I possibly could, and it ultimately worked out in the end. So that's kind of my advice. Just know yourself, be really clear, and use your discernment, which may be a fancy word for just saying trust your gut. There's no one way to be an effective leader. There are many different types of ways to lead. I happen to believe that being an effective leader in this environment, working at a publication, requires you to be open to collaboration. I mean, there's no bad idea. There are lots of great ideas. And if we work together, we can collaborate and build even better ideas out of maybe that initial kernel of a thought. That's always worked for me, no matter where I've worked. Being open and being collaborative and being willing to listen to other people's opinions and let that factor in. But while collaboration is great, being an effective leader also requires being decisive and being willing to say, you know what, we've talked about this, I thought that was good, this doesn't work, and this is what we're going to do. People rely and need that just as much as they need to be heard. They also need to be led. They need for someone to be willing to say, this is what I think we should do. Now, that doesn't mean that a leader's not going to make mistakes. I think the best leaders recognize really quickly if something isn't working. Fail fast is what people like to say. That's really true. It's just as important, if you fail as a leader, to recognize where the failures are and then don't make those mistakes again. You're actually teaching everyone who is following behind you or working with you that it's okay to make a mistake. That's an important lesson to share too, so that people aren't too afraid to try things and take risks. I know I've said a lot of different things: collaboration, being decisive, and also being willing to, make a mistake here and there. All of those things, I think, can be part of an effective leader. When I think about having to balance work and my life at home, I don't even try. I don't believe that there's a way to balance both. I truly do not believe that. I think that some days you're going to be stronger at work, some days you're going to be stronger at home. And to even put it out in the atmosphere that there's this way where you can find this perfect balance and the scales are going to be, completely equal at all times, I think that that does a disservice to women in general, because it sets them up for this huge expectation that they're going to be able to achieve this in their life, which simply is not true. So what I like to show my daughter, who is 12, going to be 13, as a working mom, I'm sure she's going to be a working mom because she's very ambitious, is that you're not going to be perfect all the time. Sometimes you're going to be really focused on your work, and then you're just going to have to explain that to your family. I'm really focused on work right now. I don't have time to do this right now in this moment, but I love you, and I'm going to get to that when I can get to it. And you have to understand that, because that's what I had to understand growing up. My mom was a working mom, and my grandmother was a working mom. So I saw in them, they did what they needed to do for work, and then they came home and they did what they needed to do for family. And it was constantly an up-down situation. That's just the way life is. The sooner that we make sure that our young women know that and understand it, the less pressure they'll feel that they have to be perfect in all of these things, because it's simply impossible to do, right? But I will say, you can, when you get to a certain point where you've done a really great job, you're really solid, you can start to kind of set the tone for the kind of experience you want to have at work, where you let people know you have a life outside of work. I have kids. My kid has a game today. I'm going to leave here early today to go to my kid's game. I will be back tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning, extra early, so I can make up for that time that I may have lost. There are trade-offs all the time. You just have to be really good at saying, this is the trade-off that I'm making. And I bet you anything, when you're in that work environment, just someone seeing you make those decisions and those choices is going to make it easier for someone, not in your same position to make those choices too. That's just how I feel. I think that's setting a good example. I think you lead by, when it comes to work-life balance, you're leading by example. You're showing people how to make it work and how to figure it out for themselves. There is no one right, perfect answer. I think it's one of the perks of working at Essence magazine is that you get exposed to so many incredible women who have done extraordinary things in life, whether you're talking about a Melody Hobson, who owns her own financial firm, or you're talking about a Maya Angelou, who's just a prolific writer and just visionary. You're talking about Michelle Obama, our First Lady, who just sets an incredible example of how to be poised and confident in whatever setting that you're in. I've learned so much from each and every one of these women. And what I guess I've learned the most is that you can be your own individual self. You don't have to imitate anybody else. I don't have to be like Melody. I don't have to be like Michelle Obama. I don't have to be like Maya Angelou to be successful. You have to find your own way and your own path and your own comfort level. And if you learn nothing else, I hope that that's what people see when they see me, that I'm kind of projecting that same thing. I'm not expecting anyone to necessarily follow in my footsteps, but that you can be a woman in business, you can be kind, you can be caring, you can be encouraging, you can support other women, because I've had that experience with all of the women I've been so fortunate to get to know, so fortunate to be exposed to, and I just feel it's really important to pass that on. Yeah. It's never too late to pursue a dream. It really isn't. I was 30 years old when I decided to quit the career I had in retail. I'd been working in retail for like 7 years after I graduated from college, and I just never felt like the right fit for me. And I was an English major in college. I had this little kernel of interest in, maybe I could work for a magazine. I think that would be fun. I think that would be really fun. But the idea that I was, well into one career, I would totally chop that off and start from scratch. I think everybody thought I was a little crazy, including my parents. But I wanted to try it. So I moved back in with my parents. I took a huge pay cut. I told my parents it wasn't going to be forever, so they didn't think I was going to live there forever. But, I was willing to try, and I went back to school. I got a certificate in book and magazine publishing over the summer because I knew there was a job fair at the end of it. I ended up meeting somebody at the job fair who ended up calling me a couple months later and saying, we have this editorial assistant position open at Glamour Magazine. Would you be interested in interviewing for it? And I think I did it felt like 10 interviews trying to convince them that, I wasn't crazy. Yes, I really wanted to start from scratch. Yes, I was willing to make like hardly any money. Yes, I was willing to do what I needed to do, including making Xeroxes and getting people's coffee, just so that I have an opportunity to try something that I really wanted to go after. And as soon as I got the job. As soon as I got the job, I knew that I'd made the best decision in the world. It felt right. Everything about it felt exciting, right, that it was the right thing for me. I have never regretted making that choice, not one day. Even when it's been hard, sometimes to maybe get into a new position, I always still felt like I made the right choice. So if I could do that with basically never wrote for the school newspaper, didn't do all the things that they tell you that you have to do in order to get a job in publishing. I did none of those. I didn't know anybody. I had no network. It didn't matter. I just truly believed in myself, and that I could tell a story about my experience and my background that would make someone on the other side of the table believe that I could do the job. And sometimes that's all you need, is just that belief in yourself, and not listening to all the people and the naysayers that will say, I don't know if you can do that. Because what do they know? Really, at the end of the day, what do they know? That's why I share this story because I want people to know that you can do this. Whatever it is that you set your goal on, think about it, prepare for it, really focus on it, and do whatever it takes, within reason, to get to where you need to go. You can absolutely make it happen for yourself.